AV in your ears, that's ambush being giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my voice, Steve, Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you...
This is Yul Vazquez, and you're listening to Fascination Street Podcast with your host, the great Steve Owens.
Yeah, AV in your ears, that's ambush being giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my voice, Steve, Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you...
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Sophie Flack. Sophie is a former New York City ballerina, turned novelist, and writer for some of the most prestigious magazines and platforms in the world. And then also, she started her own line of jewelry. In this episode, we talk about all those things, from growing up somewhat sheltered in Massachusetts, and the reason I say sheltered will become clear once she starts telling that story. We talk about her path to becoming a member of the Corp De Ballet for the New York City Ballet. She was there from 2001 to 2009 when she retired. And then, after that, she went to Columbia University, got a degree, wrote a book. She wrote a young adult novel called Bunheads, which draws on her experiences as a ballet dancer and some of the struggles that are involved with that particular career path. So we talk about all of that, and then we also talk about her jewelry line. A few years ago, she started Semper Augustus, which was a fine jewelry line, and then she sort of branched off and created a second jewelry line called Mad Fine, Madfine. Eventually, she merged those two branches into one united brand called Mad Fine. We talked about some of Mad Fine's collections. They are uniquely categorized in a way that makes sense for some of the nonprofits and organizations that she is donating proceeds to. I first found Sophie as a result of speaking with her friend and former guest, the great Yul Vazquez. In that episode, he was explaining about a piece that he had bought for his wife, and he told me about Sophie and her company, and I had to reach out. And Sophie was kind enough to give me so much of her time. I really, really appreciate it, Sophie. You are the bee's knees. Maybe you can do a piece called The Bee's Knees. Sophie is very open and vulnerable in this episode. I really, really appreciate the truthfulness and the honesty that she brought to the show. So thank you again, Sophie. I super appreciate it. Everybody go check out madfine.shop. Follow her all over the social medias and tell her how much you enjoyed this episode. And this is my conversation with retired ballerina turned author turned fine jewelry entrepreneur, Sophie Flack.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Sophie Flack. How you doing today?
Good. I mean, hot as balls. It's so hot out.
Did you say it's hot as balls?
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
It's a good way to start the interview.
My friend, he one day he was talking to his wife, and she was like, "How was work today?" And he goes, "Oh my God, it was hot as balls." And she goes, "What?" He goes, it was hot as balls." She goes, "Who says that? Nobody says that. What's wrong with you?" And since she told him nobody says that, he's probably heard 50 different people say it. And he's just like, Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is Sophie Flack. We are going to get to know her, and boy, are you going to be impressed. Sophie, what I like to do is I like to start off from the beginning. It helps us understand how the guests got from where they were to where they are. So where were you born and raised? Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Watertown, Massachusetts.
Now, do you say Watertown or do you say Waterton? Or do you say pack the cat and have it yacht? Or what do you say over there?
I just say Watertown because my parents aren't from Boston. My mom's from Baltimore. My dad's from North Carolina. So, yeah, but I moved to New York at 15 to train to be a ballet dancer.
By yourself, you moved to New York?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on now. You moved to New York from Watertown.
Yeah.
When you're 15, you moved by yourself. You're just like, hey, well, I'll see y'all later. Peace. I'm going to go do something. At 15?
Yeah, no, it feels really nuts now. Especially like reflecting on who I was back then.
What does that mean? Are you a different person?
No, I'm really shy. I was having a hard time. And I mean, I think like adolescence and coming into your teen years is really challenging for a lot of people. I suffered a lot. So for me, the move was like, it felt really important just as a person. I wanted to like find my people, and I was hoping to find them in New York, but it turned out when I got to New York, everyone was from somewhere else. At the School of American Ballet, where I lived at the time, they had a scholarship program, and people came from all over the United States in a variety of backgrounds. And I realized for the first time that I'd been living in a really progressive bubble. I went to school in Cambridge, but I was exposed to like the rest of the United States for the first time, which was really interesting in New York City. I experienced like anti-Semitism for the first time and a lot of biases I just wasn't exposed to at my Quaker school.
Quaker school aside, the Boston area and Massachusetts as a whole really is one of the things they're known for, besides lobster and baked beans for some reason, is that they're all assholes. Like they don't tolerate anybody else. So how did you grow up in this bubble?
Yeah, they're known for like some racism and stuff.
What?
Yeah, just being there's a nickname masshole. I feel like I can't speak for all of the state.
Why not? You don't live there anymore. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. Go sick.
My parents are really progressive, like intellectual liberals, and my sister and I went to really progressive schools, which I didn't really understand like the point until I like recently, I'm 41 now, just how like formative that kind of education was actually.
So when you say, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you a lot. So when you say you and your sister went to progressive schools, are you talking about like your primary schools and middle schools and things like that, high schools and whatever?
Elementary school, yeah. I did 1 year of high school in Massachusetts.
Were these private schools? Why were they so liberal?
Yeah, I didn't go to public school. I went to private schools.
Okay.
The school system was not super strong at the time.
Yeah, they were teaching racism and anti-Semitism.
Yeah, so I first went to a Jewish day school. My mom is Jewish, so I learned actually conversational Hebrew until like second or third grade. And then
all right, hit me with some conversational Hebrew.
oh man, it's been a minute, but I remember all the prayers, a lot of the songs. I can understand like basic words, but I have the Shema tattooed on my arm, which is the prayer you say before you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. And I've said it to myself since I was very little, whenever I feel frightened or whenever I feel like someone else might need protection or safety. It became kind of a superstition for me.
Remember when I said I was going to interrupt you a lot?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so you have a Jewish prayer tattooed on your arm?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about Judaism, but I'm pretty sure that Jews aren't supposed to get tattoos. So it's really funny that you tattooed a Jewish prayer on your arm.
Yeah. Fair. I believe that if you're going to get a tattoo, getting like the most sacred prayer tattooed is probably the way to go.
Sure, something meaningful.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the word of God, how can I be mad about it, right?
Yeah. But even like super religious people like don't take that rule like very seriously.
Sure.
I take an art class and there's a Hasidic woman who's in my art class and she's like, yeah, that's like people don't really believe that anymore.
Okay, so sorry, back to your parents. So first of all, who are your parents?
Fran Foreman and Bob Flack. Fran is a fine artist.
Now, she's a photographer, right?
Yeah, she does digital collage.
I think I have this right. Did your mom do, well, like you're familiar with all of your mom's work, but there's a photo painting, whatever. It's called Night Hotel. Is that your mom?
It's possible. I'd have to see an image. Can you flash something on the screen?
How about that?
It definitely looks like her stuff. I don't know that it is.
I'm pretty sure this was on her website.
It was on the website then.
Well, then, yes, that's her. Your mom does amazing work.
That's so nice. She just prize in a Soho art contest.
She just won a prize for what?
For like the best photograph.
For just the best.
Yeah.
She's just the best. I love it.
She's been working a long time. I'm really proud of her.
What does your dad do? Is your dad still with us?
Yes, he is a trained architect. He's retired, but works for me and my company.
He works for Mad Fine?
He works for Mad Fine. He does like spreadsheets and some financial oversight.
So he's not architecting for you.
No, he could.
He's doing all the grunt work. Wow.
Yeah, they actually just moved to the Upper West Side in December to retire.
From Watertown?
Yeah, after 40 years.
Now, don't you have a sister?
I do. She lives in Dallas, Texas.
Does she have children?
She has one. Yeah.
So here's what I'm hearing. Your parents like your children better than your sister's kid. That's why they moved to New York instead of Dallas.
Exactly. No, I think they just like New York better. I think my sister would live in New York if she could. In fact, I know she would.
Got you. Well, as a native Texan, I'm not offended.
What part of Texas?
I'm in San Antonio.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, we're going to bounce all over the place.
Yeah.
When you moved to New York at 15, good God, you said that moving to New York by yourself, you suffered. Can you tell me what that means?
I struggled a lot in school before I left. I'm dyslexic and ADHD, so just navigating life with a differently wired brain was really challenging. And then especially kind of going through puberty and like social weirdness as I was growing up was always really challenging, especially as a very shy person. And I was depressed and anxious, like as a kid growing up through this time. So moving, without my parents to New York was a very risky move.
Why did you do it? Like you were shy and you were,
yeah,
I'm assuming on the timid side, that's a bold decision. What made you pull the trigger on that? And also, listeners, this was because she got a full ride scholarship to the School of American Ballet. Okay, go ahead.
It's also a very prestigious school, and my goal was to dance with New York City Ballet, so being offered a spot felt like something I couldn't refuse. In hindsight, I probably needed another year at home just to mature.
No way. At 15, you weren't just ready to take on the biggest city in the world or America?
Yeah, it wasn't a boarding school. It's not like your typical boarding school where there's like adults supervising you and like standing in for parents. It's really like a place to live so you can take your ballet classes, and academics kind of came secondary.
This was a high school like Fame? It was
No.
just, no.
No, it's just ballet school.
Oh, okay. So how did you do the high school?
There was kind of two options, three, LaGuardia High School, and then I went to Professional Children's School, which is a small private school for people with weird schedules. Fun fact, my husband also went to PCS, Professional Children's School.
With you or separate from you?
No, he's older than me, so he was a...
What a coincidence.
Yeah. But like a lot of actors have gone there, models, professional dancers.
People who have an unusual schedule.
Yeah.
Was he working at that time? Is that why he had to go to that school?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He started working professionally around the same time as a young teen.
Ladies and gentlemen, her husband is Josh Charles. He's a fantastic actor who you've seen in everything. Okay, go ahead.
So the school, Professional Children's School was a few blocks away. So we would do, I believe, morning school. We'd do like a class or two in the morning, and then we would like actually race back to take ballet class at like 10:30.
When you say we, you weren't by yourself in this?
No, there was a bunch of kids in the School of American Ballet in my class, and we would go back and forth between the schools. So we would have like ballet classes like in the middle of the day. So we would take a couple academic classes, like physically race back, like eat something like while you're running. And we were so competitive in my class that we would like run.
But then you're tired by the time you get to ballet class.
Yeah. We were so competitive that we wanted a good spot by the teacher, by the mirror. So we would like save spot. We had a really nutty class that was super competitive. It was really intense between the girls, and my roommate.
So you did have a regular high school experience, because that's
No,
how girls are.
Yeah, in terms of social stuff. My roommate was not a fan. I was pretty weird, and she made it known.
Was she the same age as you? Were all of the students that you're talking about, were all around the same age?
Yeah.
Just from everywhere, all over the place? Nobody was from New York?
Yeah, she's from Wisconsin, I think. There was some kids from Pennsylvania, from ballet school there. Everyone was like the best at their home studios, and they all came to the place.
Otherwise, you don't get into the School of American Ballet if you're not the best.
Yeah, and not many people are chosen. So it's kind of like, being a Olympic athlete or something. So like to get to that level, you have to be really good.
Oh, I've seen Black Swan.
Yeah.
And also, my daughter was in ballet all the way until the middle of college. So I got you.
It can be pretty intense, especially at this level, because everyone wants to get into the New York City Ballet, which is the feeder school to New York City Ballet. And they only take like a few girls at the top level. So you can imagine how cutthroat it was.
Sure.
Was being like, I can't wait to like finally be accepted by like my people. And I had a rude awakening when I arrived.
So you went to New York and you were hoping, one of the things you were looking for was to find your people. And when you found your people, you were like, these people suck.
It was more like these people are trying to block the There was this one girl we called the Wall because she would literally dance in front of you to block the teacher's view of you.
On purpose?
Uh-huh. And it was really ruthless. That first year was really hard. I wanted to come home. I like cried to my parents a lot. We had pay phones at the time. I'd use like my calling card and like cry to my parents on like the pay phone.
Listeners, a pay phone, just kidding. But a calling card, okay, just kidding. How come you didn't quit before you answered? The reason I'm asking is because throughout the 8 years I've been doing this and all of the people that I've talked to, one of the things that I've noticed is that what separates the people who were successful in whatever the field is from the people who aren't is their level of quit. Now, a lot of people have a lot of quit in them, but the people who seem to be more successful for some reason don't have a lot of quit. So how come you didn't quit? Why didn't you just give up? You're a kid.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I was actually saying that to my son, who's really interested in being a baseball player. He's only 10. But I think the people who are successful aren't necessarily the most talented. It's just the people who refuse to give up and just keep going back, even though they feel defeated. So I definitely had a lot of gumption and determination.
Now, gumption is a word you don't hear in 2025. That's unless I'm talking to a 95-year-old person who talks about gumption. That's awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, streetwalkers. Here's a word from our sponsors. Let's get back into it.
There's been all these moments in my life where it's like, before I moved to New York, I was like, well, I was so depressed. I was like, I could either kill myself or move to New York. There's been a lot of sort of fork roads in my life. And it's like, I might as well give it a try.
So this was a literal thought that you had as a 15-year-old?
I was probably 13 or 14, and I was really depressed and lonely at the time. Yeah, I've had bouts of depression my whole life, and that was a heavy one. So I was like, I could either kill myself or move to New York. So I was like, I might as well give it a try, because when I kill myself, I won't exist anymore.
Yeah, you can't do it in the other order. You can't try New York second.
Yeah. And then at the school, the crossroads was like, I could either go home as, a failure with my tail between my legs. I mean, I know not actually a failure, but I had a lot of coaches and stuff who, to get to that point, I worked with a lot of people who really believed in me, and my family had sacrificed a lot for me to be there. Just tons of lessons, trips to New York. It's like, training an Olympic athlete. The whole family has to kind of get behind the kid. And it was expensive. Point shoes were like $80 a pair. It was a lot.
And it's not like they last forever.
No.
Those things, you go through point shoes like they're free, but they're not. Oh my God.
No, my dad would hand sew my shoes for me and do my hair. And there was a lot.
What a sweet dad.
He is very sweet. He's very supportive. Both my parents are. And they believed in me. They were like, they didn't say it, but they always believed that it was possible to do this, which is really quite generous because most people's parents don't feel that way.
You do not have to tell me.
Yeah. They were like, why not her, And I had gifts or whatever. I'm getting sidetracked here. The fork in the road was like, again, I could either leave my tail between my legs or I could actually give it a try, because I didn't feel like I really was giving it everything. I put a lot of things into black and white thinking. So it was like, if I'm going to be here, it's not going to kill me. I might as well put in a huge amount of effort and see if it's possible. Let's just give it a shot. So I decided with myself, I've had all these like internal conversations. Let's try, like, let's really try. And if it doesn't pan out, that's okay. I can still go home. So I started to really try and I immediately sprained my ankle. So I was in a cast at home for a summer, so depressed. I mean, especially as a dancer, like not being able to move. But because of that, I discovered something called cross training, which is now a normal part of training to be an athlete and a ballet dancer. But it wasn't something that, and I, done some Pilates, gyrotonics, physical therapy, which is, again, maybe foreign language, but like a normal part of training to be a professional dancer and maybe athlete. But the cross training I did, like this person like trained Nancy Kerrigan, I believe. His name's Igor Burdenko, Russian.
I was going to say Igor Burdenko.
And he had me running in my cast in a pool. And I would do all these like crazy exercises. He put me on this like really specific, like high protein diet. And I trained like I was training for the Olympics in a cast, like in a pool. And I got really strong. And when I returned to the school, even though I hadn't been dancing, I was in really good shape. And I got the attention of the director of the company. A girl in my class got moved up a level. I did not get moved up. I was again devastated. So there were all these moments of disappointment, but I was still like, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to like give it a try. So I was like, I'm just going to rise to the top of my class and make it a no-brainer that I will be chosen for the company. I came all this way. So I was like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm lonely right now. I had this term, which it was like a defense mechanism calling, like, I put myself on the shelf, which is probably a form of disassociation, but like I put who I really was, like my soft underbelly, away for a little while, but I knew she was still there. So I could accomplish this goal.
So where did you get this? I'm going to call it a management technique. Where did this come from? Where did you get this idea to put yourself on a shelf?
Survival.
Like you just made it up? You didn't hear this from someone? Or
I like made everything up. Yeah. I also developed pretty intense anorexia in the process of this. Not throughout my career, but that year, because the diet that Igor put me on spiraled out of control. I don't know if trigger warning for people who have like eating issues, seriously. But I had this really toxic voice in my head and I was able to reverse the language. I actually had an intervention at the school. Like I give the teachers there a lot of credit because I came back and I had dropped so much weight that it warranted like a serious intervention.
So they actually sat you down. They were like, listen here, kid.
It cornered me in a room. Yeah. And it worked. It scared me for myself. And I was able to reverse that self-talk and like gradually incorporate bad foods back into my diet until I was able to recover like on my own. They had me go to a nutritionist who was pretty much useless. It was like really like my internal thoughts have been like a very powerful force throughout my career and my life.
They had to be. You were lonely. You didn't really have a whole lot of other people to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, that sounds like a horrific journey, but guess what, folks? That journey took her to the actual New York City Ballet, which was her dream. You danced professionally for the New York City Corp De Ballet. Am I saying that right?
That's right.
From 2001 to 2009?
That's right. Yeah.
Now, without any specifics, does that pay well?
It felt like a lot of money as a teen. You know, I was professional at 17, but for the amount of work we were doing, no. Not at all. And like the amount of dedication. I mean, we would be there 12 hours a day.
Yeah, it's all consuming. Right?
Yeah, you can't do anything else. You can't even like, I barely graduated high school because I was working so much. It's completely consuming. Completely. I've done a lot of therapy since then. And it's such a beautiful craft and art form and life. You have a live orchestra like regularly who plays for you.
They probably got paid better than you did.
I don't know. They probably don't get paid enough either, honestly. I mean, these people train their entire lives. And the thing with ballet, maybe like a musician, is like, because it's so consuming in order to be like that level of excellence, you don't have time to be educated in other ways and have other things that you know how to do. So once your career ends, your options are really limited.
So then was that another crossroads for you? Did you struggle greatly? So, well, why'd you retire? So you're what, 26, 25 when you retired?
Yeah, well, I danced in the Corps. I had a year apprenticeship and then danced in the Corps till 2009. I was 25 when they let go 10% of the company, and I was among that, which was pretty depressing and devastating.
So where do you go from there? I mean, you're at the top of your game. I mean, even though they cut you, you're still at the top of your industry because it doesn't get any higher in this country than the New York City Ballet. Did you have thoughts of going to some other ballets? I don't know, the Boston Ballet, whatever, the San Antonio. Like, did you have thoughts of going to a different ballet company?
My ego was so crushed that I literally wanted nothing to do with my body anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a dangerous place to be in when at 13 you were having those thoughts.
Yeah, I'm still kind of like figuring out. I mean, it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in a lot of therapy, but I'm still sort of like piecing together a relationship with my body since then, because as an artist, I'm sure you've talked to a bunch of other people, especially a performing artist, who you are is so wrapped up in your craft.
It's your identity.
Yeah. And when your instrument is your body, it's like kind of confusing. It's hard to like separate the two. It's like, especially for dance, like you're asked to both like control every muscle fiber and be so in your body and control, just be so hyper aware of where everything is at all times and disassociate from it because it's your instrument and like not be too precious about it. So like you have this really odd relationship with your body as a dancer. And then afterwards, it's like, well, what do I do with this now? And especially since I decided not to continue dancing, because as an artist, you always have this little voice being like, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am, or like I could only dance at this one place. I was really devastated to be let go because it felt like an affirmation that that little voice had been right all along, that maybe I really wasn't that good.
I was an imposter.
Yeah, exactly. So I was really crushed. And my boss, who's been since, outed for alleged sexual and physical abuse, was my boss for a decade. So I lived for a decade in a really toxic work environment. And because we work such heavy hours, I'm now just starting to deal with what it's like to leave that. And that self on a shelf, which served me for a little while, like I'm still like trying to like reincorporate like my real self into my body. And like it's taken a really long time.
That self on the shelf, that shelf was in the same room as you. So even though it was on the shelf, it was still watching what was going on with the rest of you.
Yeah.
Taking it in. Oh, wow. Okay, so you retire from the ballet in 2009. You're 25 years old. When did you start writing your book? Ladies and gentlemen, Sophie wrote a novel called Bunheads in 2011, which drew on her experience as a ballet dancer. Now, Bunheads, I'm assuming this novel has nothing to do with the TV show, right?
It does not. But the TV show probably boosted sales. So thanks.
Sales for you?
Yeah.
So your book came out before the show?
Yes.
Now, Bunheads, I guess, is a popular colloquial term for ballet dancers. That's where the word comes from?
Yeah.
They actually changed the name of that TV show to be Bunheads.
Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, it's true. The script was called Strut until my novel went to ABC Family because I was shopping it around. And they were like, oh, that's a good title. And they took the title, but I didn't have it copywritten or anything. And my publisher wasn't able to sue her.
Fascinating. Thanks, ABC Family.
I know. Stinks.
You bunch of douches. Okay, so is that when you decided to write this book at 25, or was there some time past? What did you do when you retired?
Great question. After I was informed that my contract wouldn't be renewed, I was pissed and sad. And I, went directly to the press and yacked to a magazine and did a long interview. And then I talked to the New York Times.
Hold on. So you're pissed that they let you go and you went straight to the magazines and reporters.
Yep.
What was your intent? Like, were you like, hey, these guys are dicks? Or were you like, oh, no, check it out. Anybody want to hire me? Like, what was the intent? Like, what were you saying in these interviews? What did you do? What did you tell the New York Times?
I mean, nothing that salacious looking back, but it was enough that, like, I spoke honestly and in my own voice, and I got the attention of an editor at Little Brown because of my interview.
So were you speaking about your boss, or were you speaking about the whole culture, the whole experience? What was the conceit of the articles?
Honestly, it's been so long. I was 2009, but I think it was something like Peter doesn't even know who we are. There was a real, like when I say there was a toxic work environment, like the Corp De Ballet, which is like you dance in the shadows, you support the star, which is what my novel is about, because there hasn't really been anything written about that, the people who aren't in the spotlight. I want to talk about that culture and the things that we dealt with.
So it's like the character actor version of ballet.
Yeah, totally. So I spent my whole career in the Corp. Which was interesting, but also really frustrating because I was always trying to ascend and I wasn't able to. It was a frustrating place to be in. I don't know if I should talk about this or not because we could go down like a different road. I don't know how much time we have.
You can just touch on it. We don't have to explore it too deeply because there's some other things I want to talk about.
Yeah, one thing that held me back was my learning disorder and my anxiety and ADHD. I had a lot of trouble picking up choreography because we were taught sometimes 40 ballets in a season, if you can imagine, like memorizing
40 separate ballet routines.
One year we learned 40 for our anniversary year, but like sometimes it would be a little less, but a lot of new material, especially in the Corp De Ballet. And you're expected to pick up choreography quickly, and the way that they teach it quickly is not a way that I learn. I'm not a good audible learner. I had to teach myself, again, like relying on my brain, my own way to learn choreography, which was like I would rehearse before I fell asleep, like almost like self-hypnotize. Like I would like go through everything as if I was doing it before I fell asleep, like all of everything I learned that day. So the next day I would come back and feel more comfortable, but like I was often like humiliated in the studio, like forced to, do the choreography on repetition in front of other people, just alone. It was very humiliating. And it's like having a learning disorder or ADHD or anxiety. Like for me, it was like these things were kind of mushed together. I would kind of like freeze because I was so anxious to be humiliated that I like couldn't take in new information. It was not something that was acceptable at all.
And so this was part of what you were talking about in these interviews?
Which interview? Sorry.
I'm sorry, like the New York Times and...
No, I wasn't ready to talk about that. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, in the interviews, I was more like, I was talking more about like the social hierarchy of like the Corp De Ballet, not being able to like associate with people of higher rank. Like I learned to like not make eye contact.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. It's like I'm in therapy. I talk about it like a cult, honestly.
It sounds like a cult.
It took a long time to like unlearn a lot of things. And I still have like a lot of weird, I've always been like a little weird socially, but I think a lot of it was made worse or reiterated in the ballet because of the strange environment that I lived in for so long.
Okay, wow. I'm so sorry about all of that trauma, and this sounds rough.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Warning. Not listening to Fascination Street Podcast may cause unexpected side effects. Side effects may include sudden fits of boredom, irrational curiosity about everything you missed, the inability to name your favorite podcast interview, spontaneous ignorance of obscure celebrity stories, talking to coworkers about nothing because you didn't hear the latest episode. Other symptoms may include excessive use of the phrase, "Wait, what happened?" Chronic seriousness with no trace of laughter or delight, unexplainable urge to scroll aimlessly instead of being entertained. In rare cases, not listening may lead to wandering aimlessly through podcast apps, overexposure to true crime reruns, and thinking you're cooler than you actually are. If you find yourself experiencing any of these symptoms, stop what you're doing immediately and download Fascination Street Podcast. Ask your podcaster if Fascination Street Podcast is right for you. Spoiler alert, it is.
Let's get back into it.
In 2013, you earned a BA from Columbia University. That was a big year. That's the year you got married, too. Why did you decide to go to university?
So I did one class a semester when I was at Fordham University after being in the Corps for a few years. College is very challenging with that kind of schedule. We had Mondays off, so I could take a Monday class. It was challenging to do the homework because we'd work 12 hours a day. But I had a philosophy teacher who sometimes people always say, like, it takes just one teacher. She said one thing to me and it stuck, which was that I deserve to have an education, that I'm smart. And like growing up with these learning issues, I never felt that way. No one had ever talked to me that way before. No, my education had never been something that was prioritized in my life because I had these, gifts as a young child. So education was kind of like, oh, let's get this over with. And she was the only person who was like, you deserve this. And it stuck with me. So I decided after getting canned, or like it's nice to be able to talk about it now, but that I kind of had two paths. I was like, again, one, I was like, well, I could resurrect my eating disorder and start modeling. I had a little bit of modeling experience, and that was literally a path that I considered. I was like, I could be anorexic again and try, to be like a model, using my looks and my body again. Or I could like do the suggestion that this teacher had a few years ago and actually like give myself an education. And I decided to go that path. One, my parents were supportive. They're advocates of higher education. And my sister's husband had gone to Columbia University and talked so highly of it. And I, don't test well. I have these learning issues, but I decided to, again, like I have this, I don't know really where it comes from, delusion of, aiming for more than I think I can actually achieve.
Well, that's part of the quit that I talked about earlier. Like, you just don't have that in you. You're just like, okay, well, that was the thing. So where can I focus my energy? Because I can't quit, because that's just, I don't know what that means. So you just turned your vehicle in a different direction, I think.
Yeah, well, to quit or not to quit was more like, oh, I can always quit later, but I can only try now.
Yeah, it's kind of like going home, right? I'll always have home to go to, just not yet.
Yeah, I honestly think a lot of this philosophy comes from the fact that I don't believe in God, and I didn't as a kid. And like,
it's weird for somebody to say who has a prayer tattooed on their arm.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Judaism is like they'll take anybody. They're very accepting. So yeah, like being like, okay, like one day I won't exist. I might as well try my best now while I'm here, So that's kind of been a theme in my life since I was really young. Yeah, so I was like, well, I might as well apply and see. I did okay on the SATs, not very well, but I could write. And I had a great interview. They were interested probably because I was in New York City Ballet. I applied to general studies, and they like people that's a school at within Columbia. You take all the classes, everybody else, but they like people who've been in the military, have had careers, and then returned to school. So I applied to that school, and I got in, and I was shocked and so flattered that they wanted me. And that was actually, I got in before I was let go. Which I'm curious, maybe that was one of the reasons that I was let go, because they felt like I would be like okay or something. So yeah, I thought I would be a philosophy major, maybe because of that teacher who had been encouraging a couple of years earlier. I took one philosophy course and was like, oh, what? I was so confused. I was like mathy. I didn't understand it at all. And I had, again, one great literature professor who was actually a law professor who taught a class about, I want to say, death by drowning. And like we read Moby Dick. And I learned for the first time that if you read well, if you learn to analyze literature, you have sociology, psychology, philosophy. You can learn all that things from reading closely. And that felt like a revelation to me. I kind of went into Columbia being like, oh, I dance with New York City Ballet. Like, I got this. Like, I traveled the world. I had like a little bit of an ego coming from this prestigious place. And as soon as, very quickly, I was like, oh, like, I don't know anything about the world.
Shit.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, there's a lot to learn. And like, these people are really smart and younger than me. So it was really humbling, but I had to change my attitude really quickly.
But you did, and then you graduated, and now you're awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you were always awesome, but
I never felt better about myself than at Columbia. I know it's a weird place maybe now, but it just like my eyes were open, and I learned how to get better at going to school. I learned how to write there well, not from the creative writing courses, but by becoming a good reader and by learning how to analyze literature well.
Once again, 2011, the novel Bunheads, it's everywhere. People can get it. Is there a specific place you recommend people to go get it? Because I want people to check out this book.
I mean, independent booksellers are always great to support. Plus, you can probably get a good deal. But it's available like Barnes and Nobles and Amazon also.
So Bunheads by Sophie Flack, 2011. Just real quick, can you tell everybody what the book is about? Like, get me excited about reading this book.
It's about a girl.
Or pretend I'm a girl.
Yeah. A girl named Hannah who is in the Corp De Ballet of a Manhattan ballet company. And it focuses on her decision to like go for a soloist spot, or it deals with like the tension that I felt as like a thinly veiled memoir of like, do I want to develop myself as a human or ascend in my career? And that felt like a constant kind of conflict when I was in the Corps. And there's a love triangle that's fun, but I'm proud that the novel is not actually oriented around a heteronormative relationship. Like in the end, she decides to make a decision that is not led by her relationship with a man.
Gotcha.
Which is not always the case in teen novels.
So this is a teen novel, you would say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it's young adult.
It's YA. All right, great. Okay, now, thank you for that. We're going to talk about jewelry. As you know, and the streetwalkers should know, how I stumbled upon you, Sophie, is I was speaking with a friend of yours, Yul Vazquez, and I was speaking to him about a week before his 23rd anniversary, and I asked him what he got his wife. I'm sure you heard the clip. He explained that he got a necklace from you, and he told me just a little bit about your jewelry line, and it sounded super dope, and that's why I reached out. So tell me how a professional ballerina turned novel author, and you also write for other publications every once in a while, Wall Street Journal, whatever, all the things. What makes you decide to start a jewelry company, and when?
First of all, I would say out of all my husband's friends, I think I'm most similar to Yul.
You can say you're friends. Y'all are friends too.
He's my friend too. I met him, my husband, to be fair. They've been friends a long time. I think we're most similar probably because we have these other interests in addition to like our primary careers. Like he was a musician for a really long time. He's a photographer. And I also have these like other, like a toolbox of creative realms that I like to dabble in. And he's a lot like that too. And we also, have dealt with like mental health stuff, and we're open about talking about that.
Plus proximity, right? He lives in New York. You live in New York?
My neighbor. I'm in my office. They live right by her. And Linda is lovely. I love her so much. She's a good friend. So jewelry, I was introduced to the Diamond District here on 47th Street through a friend who's mostly an antique dealer. And she, during the pandemic, started designing some jewelry. And I've always enjoyed jewelry. My grandma was very glamorous, and I've always sort of been attracted to it. It's never something I really considered. But when she introduced me to her bench jeweler on 47th Street, I had never kind of like crossed that threshold. I don't know if you've ever been to the Diamond District here or a Diamond District, but the one in New York is really bizarre because it feels like a real stage set. And you walk like behind this facade of jewelry forms and diamonds, and you go into these like industrial buildings and up in the elevator, and there are these people working with high metal and diamonds who are so good at what they do. And there are like a lot of immigrant families, and there's this whole culture that's like hidden behind this facade. And I was really curious. This was like in my backyard, and I didn't even know it was there. I've been in the city a really long time.
Write that book.
Yeah, it's a really interesting place, and the people are really fascinating. And my jeweler actually used to be a physician in his country, but can't practice medicine here. Sometimes they use a microscope. Like setting diamonds can be like similar to surgery. It's probably like child's play compared to what he did in his country. And he's really good at it. And he has a whole team, and is a family-run business. And I was sort of like enchanted by this whole weird world. So that's sort of how I fell into it. And I asked my friend for I kept wanting to like tweak things that I had, and she got annoyed. So she was just like, just go on your own. And I started casting objects that I found in my bag, including a Zanex and a Klonopin.
Wait, so you started casting them yourself? Like you started dabbling in the actual...
No, sorry, to be clear, I gave them to the jeweler and was like, can you cast these?
What were you casting?
A Zanex and a Klonopin, which I carry
Okay.
with me as I sometimes have.
Anxiety, sure.
Yeah. And they came out so well, and like it looked so close to the real thing, and were relatively shockingly somewhat affordable, even though they were solid gold because they were quite small. I set them on a chain and started wearing them. And I had a friend who wanted that necklace. And I had another friend who was like, I think you're onto something here.
So this necklace, all it had on it was the Klonopin and a Zanex?
Yeah, kind of set like, I mean, I don't know why you know this, but like Tiffany's has diamonds by the yard necklaces. So they were set
Sure.
sort of like classic way, except they were pills.
Oh, so it wasn't just one of each. It was multiple.
No, it was one of each. And I set them kind of on the side in the
Okay.
sort of like subtle way. But like if you take those, sometimes it was like, if you know kind of a thing, that they were like subtle. But if you like recognize, it'd be like, oh, I take that. And then when Roe was overturned, I realized I could cast the abortion pills in gold and maybe work with a nonprofit and like give some money back to actually funding abortions and travel for people who can't access it.
Okay, about that. So for all intents and purposes, you're casting an image of a product that already exists, right? You're doing an image of a real product. Did you have to get permission, or is there a copyright on, like, how does that work?
I worked with an IP lawyer multiple times to kind of vet what I was doing, because obviously I can't afford to be sued by a pharmaceutical company.
Sure. Or murdered or whatever it is that they do. Yeah.
So he felt like because I'm not selling these objects to consume, that they fall under artistic license in the First Amendment, and that people have done this enough, and that lawyers have won enough cases that the risk is fairly low.
Okay.
And you could actually argue that I'm helping them because I'm trying to send a positive message.
Yeah. You're advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, one thought is actually to approach pharmaceutical companies and be like, hey, like I'm helping you guys. Do you want these for like corporate gifts or something?
So you didn't so much go into it like with a lawyer to be like, okay, let's go make sure this is cool with people. You just kind of went from it like, I've checked the laws and I'm okay. Right? Like you weren't asking for permission. You were just making sure you were covered.
Yeah, I just didn't want to get sued.
Okay, cool. So what was the reaction? You said some of your friends were like, hey, that's dope as hell.
I had a friend buy one for a gift for someone, and then someone else who's running another small business called Anya for postpartum care. She was like, I really feel like people are going to want these.
Did you just make some for yourself at first?
Yeah.
And then kind of people were like, hey, I want some of that.
Yeah. So I started with those. And because Roe was overturned, I was really motivated to do something more purposeful than just Zanex and Klonopin. And I reached out to a number of nonprofits and asked if they'd want to partner with me. I'd donate a part of the proceeds. So I found the National Network of Abortion Funds, and I've partnered with them ever since. And I give a portion of sales from those pieces to their organization on the back end of my Shopify. I spent like a year researching how to make gemstones look like mental health pharmaceuticals like Prozac. I wanted them to be, I didn't want to do everything in gold. First of all, gold is very expensive and it's heavy.
Sure.
So I realized I was supposed to start working in stone, and the stone guys in the diamond district, I wasn't happy with the result. I wanted them to look manufactured like actual pills. So I ended up finding a vendor in Jaipur who I worked very closely with, and they use a machine called a CNC machine, which is typically used to carve like wood and stone for furniture, but they use it on the small scale for these little pills. They look amazing in person. I try to do them justice on the website, but they really look like I replicate the colors and the scale, and they're even engraved with like the lettering of like Prozac. I partnered with Fountain House, which is an organization in New York that supports people living with serious mental illness. I've done a bunch of things with them. They're a wonderful organization, and donate a part of those proceeds to that organization. And so I sort of built the company like collection by collection over time like this, partnering with different nonprofits.
So each collection has a separate nonprofit that you're donating part of the proceeds to?
Not every collection, but a lot of the collections. I decided to actually rebrand maybe like 6 months ago. I had called the company Semper Augustus, which is a bit of a mouthful. I had a lower end brand called Mad Fine. I merged the two. So now the brand is just called Mad Fine.
Is Semper Augustus a tulip?
It is. It's a rare Dutch tulip that caused tulip mania in the 1700s.
Why did you decide to name your company after a crazy tulip?
Because the story behind the tulip really resonated with me personally. The story is that they didn't know how to replicate this tulip that became so valuable that a bulb once sold for more than a house or a plot of land. The value of it was so high. And recently they discovered that the thing that made this tulip so beautiful, and I should say it was white, sort of streaked with red, like blood, really striking, was actually a virus that was killing the tulip and decimating other flower populations. But the tulip is so robust that it just stripped the color from the leaves. And as someone who's been through it, that story really resonated with me. And the things that are challenging for us also sometimes give us great gifts and make us more beautiful.
Oh, that's a great story. So then a few months ago, as we record this, you decided to change the name to Mad Fine. Why did you change the name and why did you settle on Mad Fine?
The company was always called Mad Fine Jewelry. And I had doing business as Semper Augustus. And then I had my lower end brand called Mad Fine. I wanted to separate the lower end, which was plated.
So is Mad Fine like Alex and Ani? Or was it?
Is that plated? I don't know. This was a lower price point.
Like Kendra Scott, maybe?
It was kind of market research. I wanted to see, I've never done this before, I wanted to kind of test out what kind of company I wanted to have. So I sort of did two, one lower end, one higher end, to see what people gravitated towards. And it turns out that actually making, for my lifestyle, I have 2 young kids, I have other interests, making handmade jewelry made to order was a better fit for me and my lifestyle than ordering in bulk from overseas. And also ethically, it matched a lot better with the purpose of my company. So that's the direction I decided to go in. And Mad Fine, I feel works with the ethos of the company because it started because I was mad, but also mad, reclaiming the word mad from
crazy.
Yeah. And trying to normalize mental health issues by putting them on your person.
My wife has been a master's prepared psych nurse for longer than I am allowed to say on a microphone.
Wow, that's so...
Yeah. So that's all of that kind of strikes, that hits home here.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors. Let's get back into it.
You mentioned, converting this to Mad Fine and kind of doing things a little more locally. It serves the purpose of your company. Tell me, what is the purpose? What is the mission of your company?
The jewelry is for people who go to the beat of their own drum. And it's about transparency, living more transparently about your beliefs. I realize it's jewelry, they're accessories, but I also feel they can be purposeful in shifting things socially a little bit. If we all wear the things that we're taking, if we're able to laugh at ourselves a little bit and sort of own our beliefs and who we are, then maybe we could move the needle just a little bit towards a more socially just world.
Kind of in the vein of a de-stigmatization?
Yeah.
Okay, that said, earlier we talked about that when you were younger, you had some thoughts around maybe not being here anymore. Do you have any of your pieces that are helping to destigmatize that particular feeling? Because lots of people have it, but again, nobody talks about it because it's, taboo or whatever. And no dig on you, you were just doing it to be protective. But even when you started to tell that story, you said, maybe put a disclaimer or maybe you cut this out or whatever, because again, you felt like that was going to be stigmatized. So even to someone who's working on destigmatization, sharing that bit felt stigmatized. So is there any pieces of your jewelry that are going to work on that particular aspect?
Great question. I did work with a company called Social Goods and created a piece for them for a nonprofit called the JED Foundation. I was actually inspired, I should also say, by this company called Social Goods, who does something similar to what I'm doing with t-shirts and apparel, hats, and donates a part of the proceeds. So that model was a huge inspiration in the formation of my companies. And we've partnered together. Their kids are actually at my daughter's school, so we've become friendly. But not in my company, I don't have anything anti-suicide, suicide prevention specific
Yet.
I'm open to it. I now call the mental health collection, I've renamed it emotional baggage because I've added new objects in addition to like the pharmaceuticals because I felt like there was more to who we are besides the pills that we take. And I wasn't able to like fully express that with the like narrow scope of Semper Augustus. Now I have little mini suitcases for emotional baggage.
Those are the dopest. I love those so much. So tell me about these little dope ass suitcases, these little cool baggages. Tell me about this baggage.
So the idea is like all of the things that I've created, I feel like the meaning is so significant behind them. Like there's been pill jewelry, but like not this specific with the messaging. Like this is the pill that I take in private and like I'm not ashamed to take it. And it allows other people to maybe explore medication as part of a mental health plan or for someone to recognize it. And it's really like an uncanny kind of surprising and almost funny experience for people to like see this like very private moment out there.
It's definitely a conversation starter.
Yeah, if you want it to be. It's really like, if you know, you know. So I like that the pieces are like that. They're kind of like a quiet revolution that you can wear. And the suitcase is called the emotional baggage locket, and you can engrave it with your own emotional baggage. So the one I have says gifted and talented. I was at the height of my career at age 12, and it was all like downhill from there. I was called a prodigy on like TV. It's a hard thing to live up to.
Are you engraving these messages on the inside? Because it does open like a suitcase. Are you on the inside or the outside?
On the outside.
So that everybody can see it.
So everybody can see it. And I personally keep my Zanex in mine.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's big enough to hold a pill?
Oh, yeah. I take like 0.5. So I actually fit 6 Zanex.
How big is this locket?
It's actually like, I'd have to look it up, but it's
like a half inch or something?
Yeah, at least.
Maybe even a whole inch. Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, you could put like a little reminder in there or a dried flower. Yeah, it holds stuff. Or a mint, you could put a breath mint. You could have like daddy issues. Like you could be funny with it too.
Yeah, daddy issues are hilarious.
Yeah, so fun. And then I have like a little basket, not for a picnic, but for basket case. So that's what I mean by like tongue-in-cheek pendants that I like added to the mental health collection. So now the whole collection is called emotional baggage.
There's another piece I want to talk about, which might be the coolest piece of jewelry I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
You have a mixtape. I don't know if it comes with it or if it's a separate piece, but people listening who don't know what a cassette tape is, first of all, God bless you. Second of all, sometimes the tape would come out of the cassette and you would have to get it back in there. And the way you would do it was you would stick a pencil in there because it's hexagonal shape and it would catch onto those little grooves and it would spin so you could roll the tape back in. You have a pencil that actually sticks in there and it actually turns. Like, what is happening? Are those two pieces together or separate? And why a mixtape?
Yeah, I love that piece too.
It is so cool looking.
Yeah. So the spools on the mixtape are actually 10K yellow gold and the cassette tape is silver. And the pencil is also mixed metal. It's so cute in person. They come as a set. Yeah, the pencil comes with it so you can turn it, the spools. And it's very satisfying. It's like kind of a tactile experience.
Sure, it's like a fidget spinner.
Yeah, it kind of is.
A gorgeous, gorgeous fidget spinner.
Yeah, I actually made one for Taylor Swift. I'm still waiting for her to wear it out for the Paps.
For the Paps? What's a Paps?
Paparazzi.
Oh. Did she receive it? Like, you know for a fact she has it?
Oh, yeah. My husband was in a music video, so it has some relationship with her.
Okay. So you were able to make sure she got it. That's cool.
Yeah. But for hers, we had Taylor's mix, but you could put anything that you want on it, which is like good for a gift or for yourself, something personal, your favorite song or your favorite album. Yeah, we offer free engraving on those. And then I don't know if you had a chance to look at the award ceremony. So the cassette tape is part of a collection called The Time Capsule, which is like harkens back to my childhood. We also have the Ouija board and slider in that collection and an analog phone. And then I have another collection called the award ceremony, and I have like teeny tiny trophies trophies of various sizes. I just came out with like a micro mini trophy, which I think are really funny, on a ring and also on a necklace, and ribbons also. And everything is kind of supposed to be like tongue in cheek. Like they're like silver trophies and you can have it engraved with anything, but I have like second place on it, which is just really funny, I think.
You have one that says like, I'm just okay or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Good enough. And especially for someone who, is recovering from perfectionism, it's like, I think it's important to take the piss of ourselves.
I'm pretty meh.
Yeah, good enough. Not bad. Tried really hard.
You did sort of casually mention that you made a piece for Taylor. You have also made pieces for Julia Stiles, Busy Phillips, Amanda Seyfried, Justin Theroux, Jessica Alba, and just a ton of other people. Oh, and I know you made pieces for your husband because he likes to model them, but like with his hand over his face.
Shy. Yeah.
What are the price points for some of these pieces? Like, I mean, we've talked about your jewelry, and at the beginning there was a high end and kind of a lower end, and that's sort of all merged into one brand. But what is something like that? Like, what are these price ranges? Are we talking Tiffany's where there's like multiple commas in these things? Or is this something everybody can afford? Like, tell me, what's the price point? What's the price range?
I'm glad you asked because we actually have a summer clearance going on right now, 25% off select pieces. So if you're curious, now's the time to shop. But I've started making more pieces in sterling silver. It's significantly less than gold, obviously.
Plus, it just looks cooler. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And experimenting with mixed metal, again, to keep the price point down. But also, I just think they're really interesting, dynamic pieces. Gold's like crazy expensive right now. And I don't want to like price out my customer.
Sure. And I know absolutely nothing about anything, but I would imagine that silver is easier to show detail on because you can work with the patina and the not silver, like kind of work in the shadows better than you can with gold, I feel like.
I've actually never thought of that before, but you can oxidize silver, which is interesting. I made a piece for Yul, who was on your show. That's oxidized silver, which means that you kind of blacken it. And then we like sanded off some of the
oxidization. Jeez, I can't do it either.
Which is a really cool effect. So there are different things that you can do with silver, but I haven't done that with my own jewelry. I'm more like interested in like mixing metals, like for the ribbon pendant, for the cassette tape.
Even the emotional baggage, right? The buckles are gold, right? Or something?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, the corners are
corners.
gold.
There you go.
So I started working with 10K and sterling silver more when the price of gold shot up. The great thing about these metals is it's still like heirloom quality for a lower price point. 14K I also offer, but obviously those prices are higher. I don't want to price people out. And then I have a few pieces that I kept from the original Mad Fine because I worked with a great nonprofit called Women for Women International, and they have a series of pieces for their She Dares campaign, and I give a chunk of those proceeds to them. So I kept that from the last site. And those are, I think, $75.
Gotcha. We've mentioned a couple of times, and your clearance sale is on selected items. How long is that lasting?
It's going to be for a few months.
Okay. Where can people go to check out this jewelry line?
Yeah.
Besides Yul's house.
Yeah. On Yul and on Josh Charles.
And on Linda.
And on Linda. Exactly. It's www.madfine.shop.
Oh, that's easy. Madfine.shop.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about your ballet. We talked about the book. Again, Bunheads, everybody. Go check that out. It's available everywhere. Is there an audio version of Bunheads?
No, I really should do one. Yeah.
What's wrong with you? What do you don't have enough on your plate?
No. I've had a lot going on. I'll reach out to my agent pronto.
This just occurred to me right now, and you can throw this in the garbage as soon as I say it, but your friend Linda Larkin has a very memorable voice. Maybe she would be into doing something like that.
I bet she totally would do that. Yeah.
That just sounds like a really cool idea for the two of you to work on together.
Oh, that would be so cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, that'd be dope. How much of your day is spent working on this jewelry line? I know that you're not sitting there making it yourself, but you do have to travel into the districts and have these things designed, and then, whatever, all the things. How much of your time is consumed with Mad Fine? I know you got 2 little kids and a husband and all these other things that you're doing.
Yeah.
How consumed are you by this?
I go to the Diamond District so I have 2 vendors that I work very closely with and a photographer who's separate.
Why isn't your mom your photographer? She lives in New York now.
Yeah, jewelry is like really hard to light, actually.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, so my photographer actually has a PhD and he's a physicist, and he like developed this like robot, or he has a robot system.
So your jeweler is a surgeon and your photographer is a physicist.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Oh, and your bookkeeper is an architect.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go to my physicist photographer actually right after this to go pick up my latest engraved suitcase that I just got photographed. I go pretty much every day, like during the week. I have this little office where I keep all my boxes and I do drawing in it and my packaging and printing the labels, and I take my meetings here and stuff in the Nomad neighborhood. And the Diamond District's on 47th Street. It's a nice little triangle. So my photographer is kind of like on the way up to the Diamond District. I can take the bus or the subway, and the Diamond District is 47th Street. And I have 2 stops in the same building. I work closely with a CAD designer named Max.
Is he like an astronaut, or he works with plutonium?
He's actually like super instrumental. He's a Russian man, and his wife, he probably was a rocket scientist at some point. He's a young guy who's like building his own family business, and he's so smart, and like these people are so hardworking. So I sit down and I sometimes bring a drawing or an inspiration photograph with my measurements, sometimes if there's a stone involved, and we work closely across. He has a teeny tiny office at this little table together and have a conversation, and we often follow up with WhatsApp. The jeweler who actually fabricates the pieces is directly upstairs from him. They now have their own casting as well. I get the findings, which means like the clasps and the little rings and stuff. And if I want to get chain, there's a place I can go just downstairs from that. I can also order from this place in Rhode Island. I met this guy. It took a minute, like 2 years, to find the right people.
Sure.
Like any new industry, it takes a little time and a lot of conversations and humility and being kind to like find your way around. But I'm so grateful for this little team. I just it wouldn't be possible without them. I'm very reliant.
It took a long time, but one of your goals in moving to New York City 25 years ago was to find your people.
Yeah.
And you found your people. It took a while, but you found your people. So the answer to the question of how much of your time is consumed by this is a lot. You're very hands-on with this.
Yeah, I do a fair amount of schlepping. I have a friend, Alex, who's thinking about entering the fine jewelry space, and I've been sort of mentoring her. I'm trying to try to do this a lot, like be the person who I wish that I'd had at different points in my life. So I'm kind of making introductions and giving her some, advice. And the latest advice is actually the Diamond District can be a bit of a sinkhole, like a time sinkhole and an energy sinkhole if you spend too much time there. So I was like texting her, like, Alex, get out, because it's something about it. It's like so alluring, and it's like you could spend your whole day kind of exploring, but you kind of have to like stay on task and like do the thing, like meet with the person you need to, and then like move on with your day.
Is your jewelry line, is it considered fine jewelry? Is that a term that we use?
I'm relatively new to the jewelry industry, so I'm not an expert on it yet. I'm not sure. I think technically fine might be like 14 and 18, and then under that is not considered fine. But like David Yurman and Tiffany's use silver, so I think I consider it fine.
All right, cool. That does answer my question. Sophie, I can't believe that I took up so much of your day. I appreciate you. Sophie Flack, author of the 2011 novel Bunheads, also a retired New York City ballerina. What? And the creator of Mad Fine Jewelry. Is that where the fine comes from, or was the fine I'm fine?
Both.
Nice. So everybody go check out madfine.shop. Is that right?
Yes.
And check out some of her dope pieces. I'm telling you, guys, you're going to fall in love with this cassette tape that comes with a pencil. It is the sickest piece of jewelry I've ever seen. It is so cool. Everybody go check that out. Also check out for sure the emotional baggage and the neurodivergent lines, which are some of those pills that we had talked about before. There's the award ceremony line, just all the things. Go check out all the things. Let's maybe help destigmatize some of these things that people are dealing with. And also, most of these lines that are based on something that needs to be destigmatized, they benefit these causes. She donates a portion of each piece to various related organizations. So go check her out and give a little bit of some support to not only Sophie, obviously, because she's doing the Lord's work, but it also helps, like I said, support some of these other foundations. So go check those out, definitely. Where can people follow you on social media, Sophie?
Shop Mad Fine.
And also, what about you personally?
I'm just Sophie Flack.
So everybody go check out Sophie and Mad Fine everywhere on the social medias, and like her posts. And also when she posts about this episode, definitely like that and comment that you thought it was a dope episode. Sophie, I can't believe that I took up so much of your time, and I really, really appreciate the time that you took. It was such a blast getting to know you. Before I let you go, is there anything we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about that you specifically wanted to talk about today?
That's a great question. I think we did it. We covered a lot. I feel like I can skip therapy this week, actually.
All right. You are welcome.
No, this is great. Thank you so much for having me on. This is fun.
It was 100% my pleasure. Make sure you don't forget to reach out to Linda and be like, hey.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
You want to do a thing?
Yeah.
Because you know she's good at that voicing. Like, duh. It was a hit. And, I mean, this is a 13-year-old book.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll bring it back into hey, breathe some new life in it, just like the TV show did.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Sophie Flack, Sophie Charles, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic running around the New York City Diamond District to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
And you have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was all my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much. No, thank you so much.
You.
You have a great rest of your day, and it really was a pleasure getting to talk to you.
It was fun. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jack's Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.